much. Okay, I'm gonna try to finish where it just cut off prematurely again, and that's the bad thing about this technology. Once again, this video is upside down. It's not that I haven't mastered technology, nor do I care. I'm not impressed to master this technology. It's not my technology, it's somebody else's. I gotta prove that I've perfected somebody else's craft. Wow! But the thing about deficiency, when you see the status quo and you divorce that concept, somehow there's something wrong with you. No, there's something wrong with the status quo. There's something wrong with that. I don't buy into it. I'm no longer impressed. I'm no longer convinced that that's the end all be all. That's your level of virtue, and that's the pinnacle of success. That's the peak, the summit. It really is nothing that I'm impressed and intrigued by. I used to be. That doesn't mean any of you guys need to hear what I have to say about that and say, oh, he's judging me. No, I was judging the status quo. And what is the status quo? It's everybody who buys into it. It doesn't mean I'm saying you personally, there's something wrong with you. There's personally something wrong with the propaganda of trying to convince us that I need X amount of cars, and X amount of real estate, and X amount of women, and X amount of jewelry, X amount of technology, X amount. There's something wrong with that. Why must we need all that? Is a dog going to be telling another dog, nah, you need more bones, you need more property, you need more this? No. What are their instincts going to tell them? Hey, I'm satisfied, and I've got this, things are working out. They're not going to put very much too much thought into it. But now with us, no, we're going to constantly belabor the point that we need to continuously achieving for more. I've already got this, I'm already bored with it, I got to strive for something else. That's just enough to keep you placated. That's enough to ensure that you are always wanting to get on your gerbil wheel and constantly, if one year you're satisfied with that amount of material possession and obsession, next year is going to be no different. Now we know where you stand. This guy's all about vanity. Hell yeah, he's on our team. Team status quo. Team for-profit JP Morgan, Chase, and Uncle Sam. He's on our side. But somebody like me, who's demonstrating making videos like this and having a, let's say, negative reaction towards it all, now I've painted a target on my back, and I'm no longer somebody who's buying into the propaganda. This proletariat right here, he's no longer trying to persuade us that he is bourgeoisie friendly. He's not for-profit friendly. He's not one of us. He's a threat. He's going to get out there and spread the news, and we can't have that. We got to neutralize him. I used to strive for taxidermy pride. It no longer seemed like it was worth it. Why must we get out there and demonstrate we have poor traits of propriety, and I'm prim and posture and poised? Why need that? Why must I gotta convince you guys? Why must I gotta convince anybody that I have what it takes? I only need to know that. I don't even really need to know that. I just strive for what I want to strive for. And if I want to continuously striving for more, that's up to me. That's my opinion. That's not your influence. That's on me. But what else is on me? Oh, it's all up to you. Well, why is it that whenever I came into the society, when I was born, developed, everybody else had a hand in my development, and they told me what was expected of me. What's the correct posture? What's the correct professionalism that you must exhibit? What's the correct? What's the right way? I didn't tell myself all this stuff. I didn't say, do this, be this, be this. You have to do this. What happens to you? No, this is stuff that I had to find out and develop, which I don't call it development. I call it arrested development. You reach to a certain level and say, okay, this is just how it works around here. If I want to eat, then I must behave this way. If I want to have pleasure, I must behave this way. If I want this, that's the problem. The problem is you wanted that pleasure not because you desired it, but because McDonald's commercials told you you need to have a Happy Meal. Because the television programming said, oh, don't you want a lifestyle like this? Don't you want this? Hey, this person, Cinderella, came from rags, now she's the richest. Oh, so that's what I need to strive for, riches? That's what I need to go for? Oh, well, you gotta understand, that's just Hollywood. You gotta understand, you just gotta put a context. Well, if you don't have parents to put it in context for you, and if you have others reinforcing that ideology, what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna say, oh, well, I'm mature enough to realize that you don't need to do stuff like that. You gotta check that out the door, and And when you peacock your property, you got to do it as the biggest fish in the pond. You can't. Those who are the high school celebrities, as example, they're not going to go to New York and say, hey, how great of a high school football star they were, right? There's no reason those New Yorkans are going to believe that's impressive. So they know that. But what are they going to do? They're going to stay in their hometown and say, hey, 4 touchdowns in 1 year or 1 game, like Al Bundy. They're going to ride that glory train forever, because until they find something else to brag about, they're desperate to fall back on it. Just like, oh, well, look at my nice 2-story house. Look how great it is. It's decrepit, it's beaten down, but hey, it sure does beat being in a shack. Well, does your house also beat being in a mansion? Oh, no. Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you tell everybody on the street, God, this house is nothing compared to that mansion over there you see in the distance. Over there on the hills, I need to have that. This shit is shitty. They're not going to say that, right? They're going to say, well, things could be worse. They're not going to say, things could be better. They're not going to say, well, I don't need. They're not going to say, I need a hell of a lot more than this. No, they're going to say, I only need so much. I only need this. But still, they're going to take that as being pride. Hey, I only need so much. What more do I need? Well, go tell your boss that he doesn't need a life of luxury. Tell him he just needs a life of this. He needs a simple life. He just needs very little to get by. Just like you. I mean, if the Little House on the Prairie could do it, if the Westerners and the pioneers could do it, hey boss, why don't you do the same thing? You realize you'll be happier in the end, because those who have less money and less liabilities, they end up being happier in life. Go and promote that. Promote that to them. Tell them that. That's not vanity, is it? That's actually trying to do something about it, because you know their behavior affects your behavior. It begets another person's behavior. And what's that behavior? To promote being in your squalor. Promote being in your captivity. You're not going to promote being out of your captivity. Escaping. I want to escape this. Maybe you guys can tell me, how do I escape this captivity? How do I escape? What do I do? What must I say? But not only tell me what I must do, tell me what others need to do to help me break out. This is not a one-man job. Society is not on the shoulders of one man. Society is not on the Antichrist, the coming of a new Messiah, prophet, whatever. It's not all that. We're all working together. If we're separated, we're conquered, right? I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book, and we keep falling for it. Well, let's fight each other. Let's call each other racist. Let's call each other bigots. Let's call each other sexist. Let's be mad at each other because you have Nikes and I have Reeboks. Let's be mad at you because it goes on and on. Let's continue to fight amongst each other. The rich ain't going to do that. If they're trying to promote their lifestyle and say, and there's a pissing contest, the poor is going to have a pissing contest too. But they're only going to have a pissing contest of who can accumulate the most leftovers of the rich. The rich, they have their table scraps and whatever's on the floor. The poor is going to race to it and say, oh, hey, I got the biggest scrap. Look at you guys. Haha, I got the biggest scrap. It's just like a piñata. Those who get the most candy is the winner. And what happens when you obey your employer? You're going to get out there and promote it. You're going to say, look, I got this X amount of money. Look, I bought this. I'm in further debt. More money, more problems, right? You got to promote it. You got to live the life. The rappers, the entertainers, the musicians, they get paid all this just because they got to promote the possibility that you, just because he came from rags, that someday you'll be a rapper and you'll be rich like he is. They got to promote that idea. So you focus on being a rapper. Yeah, I'm on my, you're going to spend time doing that instead of researching and say, hey, what should we do to further advance our society, to make a better life for all of us? Well, of course, rapping. Rapping's the only way. I mean, that available heuristic, that's something that I understand. It's a representative of me. No, it's not. That person is not a representative of you. I don't want to go too much of that, but that rapper, he knows the deal. He's got to get out there and flaunt as well. That's part of the allure. If he doesn't promote as well, if he's self-deprecating, like Eminem, he doesn't measure up. He's not what we're buying into. We're buying into the flashy guy. You know what I mean? Just like any other musician, they've got to, just like an actor, they've got to demonstrate that they're living a high life. And why? Because they're selling a solution to a problem. What's the problem? Is you don't have any money. Don't you want some? Don't you need more? Don't you need a better life? Sure, I need this, I need that. I need that like a third testicle.